Good evening, lacrosse fans, and welcome to Birmingham Seaholm High School for tonight's varsity matchup between our Birmingham United Bulldogs and the Rochester Adams Highlanders. I'm Brad Fetters for BACB Sports, once again joined by my broadcast partner, Andy Aubrey, getting you set for tonight's matchup. And Andy, we start out with the visitors from Rochester Adams, a bit of a roller coaster season. They come into play tonight with a 5-6 records. They're hoping to end a two-game losing streak here tonight.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough here in Birmingham. You know, we know the history of the Birmingham program, and they're a good squad. So Rochester's going to have their work cut out for them.
I'd like to introduce the third member of our broadcast team and welcome him to the BACB Sports family. Mr. Ryan Woolley is alongside Rochester Adams head coach Bradley Smith.
All right, thank you, guys. Yeah, joined here by Bradley Smith, the coach of Rochester Adams. And, Coach, you come into this game 5-6 on the season, game under 500. Just kind of really assess your team heading into tonight.
Yeah, I think our team has performed pretty well throughout the season. I think what we wanted to do was create a tougher schedule to kind of prepare ourselves for the playoffs with Rice being in our region. So being around, we beat some good teams. We also lost to some good teams, so I think we're in a good spot headed into the playoffs.
You've given up double-digit goals in a lot of your games. However, your last game was one of your better games. You only gave up single digits. Was it something defensively you did in that game, or what can you take out of that last one against Grand Blanc?
Last game, I think we just came out with a little more fire, a little more passion going into it. Defensively, really just tried to keep to what we always preached and how we always ran things, and I think the kids are just now starting to finally pick it up.
Well, you talk about a tough schedule. You got a tough team tonight, Birmingham United, right? So this is a team historically that Rochester Adams has struggled with. They've lost 4 of their last 5. What would it mean for your team to get a victory here on the road?
I think it would mean good. I'd definitely spoil their conference championship bid, but definitely something going out here, being a quality team like Birmingham would be pretty huge for a program.
All right, just keys to victory in this game. What do you think they're going to be?
Definitely communicate on defense, possess on offense, and try and slow this game down because I know Birmingham likes to turn it into a fast-paced game.
All right, Coach, best of luck tonight.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, back to you up in the booth.
All right, thank you so much, Ryan and head coach Bradley Smith. Andy, we now turn our attention to our Birmingham United Bulldogs team. They have lost 2 of their last 3 games. That was after a 6-game win streak. An opportunity here tonight to clinch a league title, the OAA Red Championship within their sights here tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. I absolutely talked to Coach Stenson earlier, and he's fired up. He's ready to go.
Birmingham United coming in averaging 10.5 goals per game. So this is a extremely high-powered offense, and really it gets done with Hill and Feldmeyer, who averaged 54% of Birmingham's goals on the season. Ryan Woolley is once again down at field level with Birmingham United's head man, Nick Stenson.
All right, thank you, guys. Yes, I am joined by Nick Stenson, head coach of Birmingham United. Coach, big game for you guys tonight. Really an emotional roller coaster you guys have been on the last couple of weeks, too. Huge win against Clarkston, a couple of games on the wrong side of the ledger, but where is your team at heading into tonight's game?
We call those games character builders, right? For the sideline as the coaching staff and for the guys on the field. So we're real confident about what those games have taught us and what we've learned out of it, and excited to apply that tonight.
You look at Rochester Adams. This is a team, again, they're 1 game under 500. Don't want to overlook them at all. What are you telling your guys going into tonight's game?
I mean, it's been a while since we've had a clean slate in the OAA, and we're looking for that tonight.
All right, keys to victory, what do you think they're going to be?
Control the possession of the game, control the tempo, and don't ever let off the gas.
Couple games left heading into the end of May. Where do you want to see your team at after tonight? After you have 4 games after that, where do you want to see improved game to game?
Yeah, every day. That's our motto, is get a little bit better each day. So that's what we're going to be focused on, one day at a time.
All right, Coach, thanks for the time. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, once again, this is Nick Stenson joining us here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have face-off here at Seaholm High School as Rochester Adams just had to take on Birmingham United.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. But only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to what has turned into a fairly good night here in Birmingham. Things weren't looking so swell about 2 hours ago. Rain was in the area. It has moved out. We're playing under partly sunny skies, I would say. Temperature right around 60 degrees. Perfect for lacrosse here tonight. As we mentioned, Birmingham United coming in with that 8-4 record, high-powered offense. Andy, big opportunity here tonight, an opportunity to clinch the OAA Red.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get these chances all the time, and when you do, you better take advantage of them. So that's going to be Birmingham's mission here tonight. We're getting a look at some of the goaltenders for this match. The Adams tender.
Samuel Soria getting the nod in net for Rochester. Adams wears 29 in those bright gold jerseys that the Highlanders will be rocking here tonight. Birmingham United in their home white. We are underway. Face-off is won and controlled by the Highlanders. They'll have the opening possession of this game. And as the ball rolls out of bounds into the BU bench, it will be Bulldog ball. So Penn Roberts came in for the face-off. Getting the nod in net for the Bulldogs here tonight, Conrad Swanson. Junior goalie, has made 13 appearances on the season. He is a terrific last line of defense for Birmingham. A little bit of a contrast in uniforms, Andy. Both teams kind of the same color scheme.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like they're each wearing the home and away jerseys of the same team, but they're just a coincidence.
Rochester Adams, not the prettiest of colors in that brown and gold, kind of almost Western Michigan University colors. Birmingham United has adopted that Bulldog moniker as their nickname. Unified hockey team using the Kings.
It's a lot of mascot names, Brad.
One of the long sticks for the Highlanders getting involved here. Ochoa along the near side. Ground ball scooped up, picked up by number 30, Dylan Brand. Junior looking for his first goal of the season for Birmingham. They're going to try to get their offensive settled down here. Really haven't generated any sort of offense in the early parts of this contest.
No, and already we've seen quite a bit of substitution, which is a little bit unusual this early in the game.
Jake Coyle at the top of the perimeter takes a bit of a nudge there by Morgan. He's going to let loose a lefty shot there from the perimeter. Skips wide. Was looking for the bottom third of the net and missed his mark. Mentioned Samuel Soria getting the start in net tonight for Rochester Adams. He's just a junior. It's a relatively young lineup. Taking a few steps in. Save made there by Soria. Point blank shot and a terrific save here in the early parts of this game. Couple changes on the fly. Anthony Odo, the senior, checking in for Rochester Adams. Countering him is Alex Rothweil, one of the long stick middies for the Birmingham team. Takeaway there. Body check supplied by Jake Coyle. Knocked the Highlander off the ball, and the result of the play will be a turnover. It's Penn Roberts, the face-off extraordinaire for Birmingham. Tosses it over to the far side of the field. Bulldogs gain the offensive zone. They're looking to set up shop. Go to the far side of the field this time for Liebler. Liebler delays, waits for a teammate to come out to the point. And they're going to go defense to offense. As Bambro comes up, Will Angel, the sophomore, will go back to his defensive position. So now you have 6 attackers on the offensive side of midfield. Wise of the Bulldogs to realize they had a long stick defender up. Made that quick change and now have settled into the formation. Making the move. There comes the screen from Bambro. Outside, sidewinding shot misses its mark. Frankie Hill, the leading scorer for this Bulldogs team, comes in with 52 goals on the season. Had the opportunity there.
I thought that was a misprint, but 52 goals. Are you kidding me?
52 goals to go along with 11 assists. Brody Feldmeyer has 22. He's the second leading scorer for BU. As I mentioned at the very top of tonight's broadcast, between Frankie Hill and Brody Feldmeyer, they've accounted for 54% of the Bulldog goals this season. That is The true definition of a 1-2 punch.
That's right. That's like all-time stuff.
Jace Morgan from the outside scores our first goal of the game, able to beat Conrad Swanson clean. The senior gets the Highlanders involved in the scoring first. They lead it 1-0.
And this came out of nowhere. We're going to take another look at it here. Birmingham had been pressing on the other end, but suddenly Adams comes through with a beautiful shot. I mean, point blank, nothing between him and the net except the goalie, and that it didn't matter because that thing is in goal for the first one of the game.
This is an Adams team that has come off 2 straight losses. 19-7 against Clarkston, 8-5 against Grand Blanc. You heard their head coach talking to our own Ryan Woolley prior to the start of tonight's contest. Head coach Bradley Smith, he really wanted to ruin Birmingham's celebratory night here. All eyes on the prize at OAA Red Championship. Adams would love to play the role of spoiler here tonight, and they gain the early advantage 1-0. On the doorstep, knocked free defensively, trying to cover up that ground ball. Done so by Mark Nardone. Nardone's going to go back to his goalkeeper, Swanson. Short outlet pass to the near side. Little 2-man ball between the goalkeeper and Andrew Johnson, the defender. Long stretch pass. Caught cleanly on the far side. That's another long stick. And what do we got? Offside call, I believe.
Yeah, we're going back the other way.
So once again, that was Birmingham kind of getting caught with that defender creeping up. They didn't have the numbers. So ball over to Adams. Good strong push nearly into the scorer's table as Frankie Hill decked Anthony Odo. And we'll have a 2-minute timeout on the field, our very first stoppage of this game, as Adams is going to use one of their 2 timeouts to talk things over. Teams will huddle up on the respective sidelines. But really a nice start here on the road for Adams.
Yeah, they can't complain too much. I mean, they're up on the scoreboard 1-0. Like you said, Brad, they want to play the role of spoiler here, and they're on their way to doing that right now. Both teams have had reasonable opportunities. I'd like to give the nod to Birmingham at the moment in terms of offensive chances. However, that doesn't mean anything. It looks, the old scoreboard, and Adams is up in that regard.
Kind of put things in perspective on where these 2 teams stand in terms of state rankings. According to laxnumbers.com, Birmingham United comes in as the 10th ranked team in the state of Michigan. Rochester Adams in those same rankings comes in as the 23rd ranked team. Common opponents obviously include Clarkston. As our very own Ryan Woolley mentioned at the top of tonight's broadcast, one of the bigger wins of the season for Birmingham was that 12-11 overtime victory over Clarkston on the road. It did require overtime, but Bulldogs were able to beat the Wolves, and Clarkston comes in, Andy, as the 5th ranked team in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, anytime you can beat Clarkston in any sport, you're doing something. They have a tremendous athletic program out there, and they always seem to find themselves up or near the top of the rankings, no matter the sport. Lacrosse is no exception, so Birmingham having beaten them, even in overtime, must have been that's a good feeling for them.
So Adams will reset after the timeout. Jace Morgan, strong play, separates himself from a couple defenders going down to make the save. Swanson, long rebound, controlled momentarily by the Highlanders. They'll regroup along the perimeter. Comes out to the point. Wisniewski over to Morgan once again. You really get the sense that Morgan's sort of the point guard offensively for this Adams team. He's going to backtrack now, kill off some clock. Under 6.5 minutes to go in the first quarter of play. Bambro supplying the defense. They're on the doorstep. Too easy. Deacon Morgan, the super sophomore. And that's the second goal of the game. The assist goes to Jace Morgan. And just like that, the Highlanders lead 2-0.
Well, you mentioned Chase Morgan as being sort of their spark plug, and he was involved in this play, but we're seeing some defensive breakdowns. Birmingham's going to have to regroup here because they find themselves in a 2-0 hole early, and let's hope they haven't started celebrating too early for their title. They need to win this game, but outstanding effort by the Highlanders.
So 2 goals less than 2 minutes apart. Deacon Morgan from Jace Morgan. Sophomore from senior. Another face-off victory by Rochester Adams. The road crowd starting to voice their pleasure. And why not? Textbook start here this evening for the Highlanders. Ball played along the end line and then a push from behind. Highlanders are going to look for some changes. Fresh forward comes out. That's Grayson Heiser, the senior. It'll be a throw-in from the end line for the Highlanders. Going back to work offensively. In control of the contest thus far. It's Jace Morgan once again. Takes a bit of a bump. Retains possession. Tried to go short side that time. A nice save made by Swanson. Largest of the evening for him thus far. The long sticks, able to shovel the pass up ahead to the left wing side. Frankie Hill, we know how dangerous he is of a goal scorer. Mentioned his 52 goals on the season. They rotated around the perimeter. Crossfield pass, missed the mark once again. Right now, the shooting percentage very low. Feldmeyer had the opportunity on the right wing side and missed the mark once again.
Yeah, they got to hit the net. They've yet been able to do that, Birmingham, and that one there sailed wide.
A little bit of a wrinkle to the sport of lacrosse. It's whoever is nearest to the ball when it goes out of bounds. So that is why BU retains possession here offensively. Liebler, Coyle. Frankie Hill has it, begins to explore, turns down the screen. Talk about pinpoint accuracy with the shot as he beats Kulisoria near side. Wow, he squeezed that somehow inside that inner post. We'll get another look at it here. Wow.
Yeah, we see why he's got 52 goals. I mean, that's a masterful job. He just found himself a crease, and he sent a missile into the net. And for Birmingham's first goal of this game, they cut the lead in half, and it's now 2-1. But Frankie Hill, holy cow, this guy, yeah, he's a talented player.
That was an absolute laser. No shot whatsoever for Kulisoria. Battle for that ground ball, nudged around and finally picked up by one of the long sticks for Rochester Adams defensively. Thrown forward, absorbing contact. Brandon Pfaff. I'm going to say it's going to stay with Rochester Adams.
Well, play got a little rough there. The referees called it, and as a result, Rochester has possession again.
Yeah, guys, that last play, Alec Rockwheel looked like he got a knee to the helmet, which is why they're giving the ball back to Rochester Adams. It didn't look like Stenson was too happy with that play, but I'll tell you what, you couldn't ask for a better start on the road right now for the Highlanders, getting those 2 goals. But now you just got to go back to work here offensively.
Ryan, this is your first look at the game of lacrosse. What is it like at field level?
It's actually pretty interesting. Again, watching sports all my life, never being up this close to lacrosse, it's interesting the dynamic of, you mentioned the ball going out closest to, but it's pretty impactful, and you can just see what they're trying to do, at least the Highlanders' point of view, talking about Jace Morgan. They're being aggressive, and that's what the Highlanders have to do. They have to take it right now to a BU.
Yeah, their head coach, Bradley Smith, mentioned kind of slowing things down. I don't think that has been the case here at all.
No.
It's been the opposite in this game. But, again, when you're trying to play spoiler, you got to go in there. You got to give them everything you got. And you can see right now Morgan's got the rock again. So they're trying to find him down low. I've heard a couple of the coaches on Rochester's side saying you guys are taking too deep of angles. You got to cut it closer to the net.
So that's some terrific insight from field level. Thanks once again, Ryan Woolley, providing that insight.
And they are not afraid to lay the body on each other in this sport. Sticks as weapons, sometimes what they could call this sport.
I recently heard an interview with Chris Draper, and they asked him what sport was closest to the sport of hockey, and without a doubt he said lacrosse in terms of the violence, the speed. A lot of overlap with the rosters in lacrosse and football. A lot of football players do come out for lacrosse.
Well, Penn Roberts is a name that we called over and over and over again for the C-home football game we called last fall. Seemed like he was in on every play back then, but he hasn't made as much mark in this game yet, but he's out there.
He's a face-off specialist for this Bulldogs team. Stopping on a dime, losing track of the ball, and going back and picking it up. They really haven't found their groove yet offensively. Good spacing right now by the Highlanders as Jace Morgan now supplying the defense. Pass goes back to the X position. Penn Roberts has it there. He'll switch. Tries to come out to the front of the goal mouth. Nothing there offensively right now for the Bulldogs. They'll backtrack and reset. 2:25 left to go, opening quarter of play. Roberts absorbs some contact, spins off. At foot race for the loose ball, and they're going to say Highlanders ball. And playing that role of the underdog and being the aggressor, that's exactly how you draw up an upset. Tough pass over top the defender there. Stretches it into the offensive zone. Now the Highlanders can set up. Nice job getting back defensively, the Bulldogs. Maintaining a man-to-man look defensively. Odo knocked off the ball. Long stick midi. Mark Nardone came in. Now he pays the price on the turnover. Wisniewski tried to feed it to the end line. And nothing home there for the Highlanders. Birmingham using this time to change on the fly. Penn Roberts gave his man a bit of a shove. I think that was Anthony Odo that went down to the field turf. He looks back at the Birmingham bench. He throws his hands up in the air. I think the officials had their back turn watching the ball rather than the subs coming off. Caleb Garrett goes back to Noah Bigelman. 70 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. Bigelman directing traffic. You're looking for that switch once again between defender and offensive player. This time they're onside. It was a good, clean change amongst players. They'll rotate once again. Bulldog comes off. Jack Coyle has it. Shakes and bakes. Separates from the defender, tried the skip shot, and once again unable to get it in on goal. So good looks right now for the Bulldogs. Just haven't been able really to get much on net. This is Frankie Hill. He takes a shove from behind. Late flag comes out, and Hill picks up the penalty call, and rightfully so. One of the easier calls you're going to see made here tonight. We'll have a 30-second penalty called against Rochester Adams, Landon Miller.
Well, it's going to be a chance for Birmingham here. See if they can tie this one up with the man advantage.
About 2-second differential between game clock and the power play time. So this will not be a carryover. Looking for the sidewinder. Boy, we are seeing some big collisions.
Yeah, he paid the
Bigelman
price.
absolutely got decked.
Hey, guys, really quick. So after that penalty, one of the assistant coaches came up to Miller and said, hey, you know what? Did you see his back? And he's like, yeah. He's like, that's okay. Set the tone. So they're trying to set the tone tonight.
Yeah, Highlanders right off the bus have really come out here and played well. It's tough when you're on the road to play the role of the aggressor, but they have done just that. The buzzer will sound, and that will do it. First quarter in the books. You can hear the road crowd making some noise, urging their players on. That is a pumped-up bench right now for the Highlanders. They lead it 2-1. We'll take a quick break here on BACB Sports. When we come back, the start of the second quarter of play.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Welcome back. Continuing coverage here on BACB Sports. Brad Fetters alongside Andy Aubrey. Ryan Woolley working our sidelines here tonight. And Andy, bit of a surprise here. Rochester Adams has come in and has captured a early 2-1 lead.
Yeah, I mean, Birmingham has come into this with the resume, I guess you could say, and but Rochester's effort has proven that you can't just throw the ball out there and expect to win, because they got fire.
Another face-off win for the Highlanders, and that's going to be a cross-checking call. This time Penn Roberts, a guilty party, got beat cleanly on the face-off. And they're not going to send Penn Roberts off. They're actually going to send off Alec Rothweil. And Nick Stenson immediately goes over and gives him some words of encouragement. Teachable moment there. Highlander goals scored by Jace Morgan and Deacon Morgan. Morgan's combining for those two Highlander goals. They led it 2-0 roughly 6 minutes into this contest, and the Bulldogs answering with their lone goal of the quarter. They pulled within one. Bulldog goal scored by Frankie Hill. No surprise there. His 53rd goal of the season. Gets the screen this time. Pick set by Penn Roberts. James Liebler. So two teams at full strength. Penalty over. Man advantage for Rochester over. Feldmeyer. Tall pass brought down by Liebler. Screen set. Liebler goes back to the X position. Frankie Hill has it. Goes right back to the X. Trying to get the pass out onto the doorstep. Quick shot clanks off the post. Boy, oh boy. Kulasoria is glad that net is 6x6. If it wasn't, that was in the back of the net. Off the post. Now the Highlanders quickly in the offensive end. Twisting around the defender. And they'll reset up shop. Why not? This is an Adams team that gives up just over 11 goals per contest while scoring just under 10 goals per game. We know BU scores 10.5 goals per game while giving up just 8.5 goals per game. Swanson went low. The shot went high, sailed wide. Adams will once again hold on to possession. Official winds down the clock, starts it. Jace Morgan, senior, begins to explore. Goes to one hand on the stick, now flips a pass over to his right wing. Morgan asks for it right back, doesn't get it, now delays and gets it. Comes over to the near side. Braden Montour there. Montour around the defender, winds up and just sailed a shot wide. Wow.
We're going to have a penalty flag, too.
A late hit after the shot, I believe. Highlanders really buzzing. It is really impressive, the quality chances that they are starting to pile up.
That's the shot at the other end. Is that off the one off the post? And then this one just sails wide.
And there's the hit.
Yeah, the hit happens.
This time it was Penn Roberts.
Penn Roberts was the guilty party there. He finds himself on one knee at the sideline.
So this will be a 1-minute penalty. So ample time now for the Highlanders to add on to a 2-1 lead. Andrew Johnson supplying the harassment. Now kicked forward soccer style. And then golfed forward there by the Highlanders. Ground ball picked up, little hip check.
That's 3 or 4 sports in one play, Brad.
Well, And this is a good way to kill off some penalty time. Good ground ball pick up there by Caleb Garrett. Noah Bigelman joins the fray. Oh.
Yeah, they're very content to just kind of wander back and forth till this time runs off the penalty.
Just 10 seconds remaining on the Highlander man advantage. Bigelman on the near side. Penalty is over. Bulldogs back to full strength. Sixth attacker joins the fray. That's going to be Jake Coyle. Good cut to the front of the goal mouth. And it's Brody Feldmeyer's 23rd goal of the season. Knots us up at 2 goals apiece.
And this is pure poetry. They
now the officials are going to come together. What do we got here?
Did that go in? Everybody was celebrating like it did. I mean, he was coming down the middle. You'll see it here.
Yeah, it's clearly in. It was a bounce shot.
So they just said that he was in the crease, but he was pushed in.
So it was a defender that pushed Feldmeyer in. So they're going to take the goal off the board, and we'll give BU possession instead. Let's see if I can ask the live truck perhaps to queue up that replay maybe one more time. We'll see if we can pick up on that crease violation. I didn't see it in real time.
No, it looked good in real time, but as Ryan mentioned, this thing he's just inside the line, but again, he was pushed.
Push from behind as well. Yeah, let's see. Well, man, oh man, I don't know.
It's close. I mean, does the ball leave his stick, the pouch of his stick before he goes over that line? I don't know. Apparently they said it did not.
Big collision at midfield. That was absolutely no stopping that from the outside.
Yeah, there's no question that one's in. That's no controversy. We got a tie game.
We're going to get Penn Roberts the lone assist. Caleb Garrett nets his 10th goal of the year and pulls the Bulldogs back into that tie at 2 apiece. So BU had to wait a couple extra minutes, but they do tie up the score.
And you know, Brad, what a backbreaker, too, because that actually, the last goal that was waved off, that came after that 1-minute penalty. Now you get the ball back, then you turn it back over, and then they still score. Now you got a tie game.
Well, and this is crunch time all of a sudden for the Highlanders. They came in with such a big emotional lift in that first quarter of play, and now you got to all of a sudden dig in a little bit deeper now. You're facing your first set of adversity here in this first half. Jake Coyle tried to feed the pass over to Bambro.
All right. Well, that's this is what good teams do, though, guys. They dig deep. You know, there was no panic on that sideline for Birmingham. They were under control. Coach Stenson is a veteran. He knows how to keep the team's head above water, and they just methodically have been able to sort of push the play a little bit, kind of dictate tempo, I guess, and they were able to tie it up. We are now at 2-2 with 6:40 and change to play here in the second quarter.
And there's been a considerable amount of that here in the second quarter. A little bit more of a tilt to the field here as BU, even on that 1 minute penalty, they maintained possession for the majority of that penalty kill.
Yeah, I think that was a very key moment in this first half, was when they were able to kind of kill that time. Rochester had a chance to go up back to 2 goals. They weren't able to do it. Birmingham has taken advantage of it now to tie it up.
Another steal. Going to go back to the goaltender, going to allow Swanson to try to set things up. He outlets it. It's one of the long sticks. Sean McGlynn up top, look out. All kinds of speed, going for the skip shot. Blocked down in front. Carter Pfaff and Grayson Heiser getting back defensively, stepping in to that shooting lane, deflecting the shot. Frankie Hill has it, defers to Bigelman. James Liebler comes in off the bench. He has it now, fresh legs. Liebler begins to explore around the defender. Goal. Whoa, did he just beat Jace Morgan clean? It was like Morgan was standing still.
Yeah, and Birmingham's getting their mojo back. You can feel the flow change here. These last 2 or 3 minutes has absolutely been a momentum shift. And we're going to take a look at this last goal, which was a thing of beauty. I mean, just a sidewinder, upper right corner of the goal. And now, for the first time in this game, Birmingham enjoys a 3-2 lead.
Nothing Jace Morgan could do there defensively. Nothing goalkeeper Sam Kulasoria could do. And Liebler came in off the bench, one of the fresh attackers onto the field, took the feed, streaked right down the field, and netted the go-ahead goal. First time in this game, the Bulldogs lead 3-2. Wholesale changes coming off and coming on here for BU. A little confusion there. Sean McGlynn was ready to join the fray. Had to wait for Dylan Brand to come off. Under 5 minutes remaining, first half of play. 3-2 our score. Birmingham United in front of Rochester Adams. Noah Bigelman has it on the far side. 4 attackers collapse. Gets the screen. Bigelman will shuffle the pass up top. Stopping on a dime, changing direction. Frankie Hill hasn't quite found his shooter's touch yet.
No, he's really slacking in this game. Only 1 goal. What's going on?
Not quite living up to that 4-goal per game standard that we have set for him.
Right. Well, there's plenty of ball game left here.
So now it's going to be goaltender Kulasoria. And Rochester is going to want a timeout. Highlanders want to talk things over. Trailing 3-2 with 4:11 left to go in the first. It's Rochester Adams team, the Highlanders, one of 2 Highlanders in the MHSAA. I'm not going to ask Ryan Woolley because I know Ryan knows the other Highlanders. Andy, do you know what other high school has the team nickname of the Highlanders?
No, I know I got a Toyota Highlander out in the parking lot, but that's a completely different answer.
Ryan, do you want to give us the answer?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Absolutely. It's the Howell Highlanders just down the street. Of course, not down the street. I'm in South Lyon, but out in the Livingston County area.
Yep, Howell and Rochester Adams, the lone 2 Highlanders.
You know, interesting enough, guys, when you look at the way this game has gone, and we talked about the pace of play that Rochester came in with, they seem to have slowed down. And I go back to the 3 penalties that they've had. They've not been able to cash in. And you guys were talking, Andy, about how they killed off, the Bulldogs killed off that minute penalty. That was almost like the momentum shift that they needed here in the first half. Gave them some confidence, and they tie it up, and now they grab their first lead. So you talk about facing adversity on the road against a great team. Can they find a way to rebound here the next 4 minutes here for Rochester Adams?
Yeah, great point. they'll probably be happy with the 1-goal differential. Of course, they'd like to be in the lead as they were originally in this one. But, Ryan, you're seeing a pretty good game for your first one with us. We've been known to call some pretty lopsided events over the years. And I'm going back to Heartland. It comes to mind a couple years ago where they were just a machine. They came in here and they had 6, 8, 10 goals.
In a blink of an eye.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, no time had elapsed at all, and it was just a complete blowout. I know they've got a rich tradition over there. But Birmingham's got a nice team this year. Rochester Adams has definitely proven to be a worthy opponent. So we got a good one.
So coming out of the break, that was Rochester's second timeout of the half, so they have no timeouts remaining. Chase Morgan to the point position. Anthony Odo, the senior, has it now. Looking for that spark, especially on the offensive end. Things haven't gone quite to script here as of late offensively for Rochester Adams. Montour, and might have something to do with the fact that BU has really clamped down defensively. There's really no cutting lanes right now afforded to the Highlanders. Highlanders right now trying to free up some space in front of the net. Bounce shot skips over top the cage. X-Man back there for Rochester Adams will put the ball back in play. Well, Angel supplying the defense back there. Odo thought about the pass. Now we'll try to turn it upfield. Tried to turn the corner. That wasn't available. They go back to the X. It's Drew Myers. Jace Morgan, tough ground ball. Wow, he wound up and absolutely let loose. Tried to go short side once again.
Yeah, tough angle. That was going to be a tricky goal to make, but I think we found that sort of that's the way Birmingham's been playing. They're a little more out front. Rochester's shots have come more on an angle, and that's a tough way to make a living out there.
Jace Morgan was looking for the circus goal there. He thought about going sidewinder. Then he went with almost a scoop shot. Was looking for the ESPN Sports Center top 10 play.
Yeah.
And instead flipped it over top of everything. Streaking right down the center of the field, unable to connect on that pass. The result of the play will be a ground ball, scooped up once again by the Bulldogs. Caleb Garrett, far side, pulls up, defers back. Dylan Brand looking for his first goal of the season. Flips a short pass over to Bigelman. Brand will come off, replaced on the field by Coyle. Coyle immediately receives the pass. Scans the defensive zone, begins to go to work. Tries to go far to the left. Cut off there. Threw the pass over to Liebler. Separated from the ball momentarily. We know Liebler's got some smooth moves. Cradles that ball in his stick and threw it out of bounds. Turnover there. Uncharacteristic turnover for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, very few unforced errors for Birmingham. You know, they started off a little rocky, but they feel like they've kind of come into their own and been more themselves here this second quarter.
Bit of a roller coaster season for Adams. They dropped their first 2 games of the season, then went on a 3-game losing streak before losing 2 games, winning 2, and then losing 2. Oh, boy. Bit of a ground ball there.
Yeah, he skipped it along the turf. And in she went. We're all tied again, Brad.
That's Deacon Morgan, his second goal of the game.
We'll take another look at it. This thing is masterfully done. He almost gave it kind of a golf shot. And it skipped along the ground, and we are all tied.
You almost wonder if perhaps the wet turf, we did mention there was some considerable amount of rain during the JV game. You wonder if perhaps some wet turf aided in that skimming of the shot there.
Probably didn't hurt. It is wet down there. This field, though, drains well. There's no puddles, obviously. It's a newer field.
But what a lift there for Adams. If they are able to maintain this tie heading into the halftime break. Bigelman comes out, Got 11 goals, 10 assists on the season, 21 points for Bigelman. Osorio making the save once again. Went down to a knee to make it. Now he's going to kill off some clock. Jace Morgan, who took a bit of a break, comes back out. Osorio able to make his way all the way up to the 45-yard line of the football field. Now he's going to have to backtrack, and a bit of confusion there amongst the defenders. It wasn't a smooth transition from defense to offense, and that will result in a turnover back over to BU. Can they take advantage? 20 seconds remaining in the first half. The lefty sizes up the shot, missed wide once again. That's Brody Feldmeyer. He's looking for his first in this game.
We'll see if we can take a look at this most recent shot on goal. That's kind of a flying left swing that's similar to the water polo game we called the other night. Lefties are a coveted asset in this game. It just went wide.
So Rochester Adams more than likely will just hold it here in their own defensive zone and kill off the remaining 5 seconds. Osorio is going to feel a little bit of pressure there by Caleb Garrett, but pretty much token pressure as the horn will sound. Boy, oh boy, we got ourselves a good one. Tied up at 3 apiece. Something is going to have to give in the second half of play. What will it be? Well, you'll find out shortly. We'll take a quick break here on BACB Sports. When we come back, the start of the third quarter of play.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Welcome back to Birmingham Seaholm High School. Nearly set to go second half of play in this boys varsity contest between the Birmingham United Bulldogs and the Rochester Adams Highlanders. And it was Rochester Adams that got the scoring kicked off. Jace Morgan, the senior, led things off. And Adams connecting on their second goal of the game. This time it was Deacon Morgan. Gave Adams the early 2-0 lead. The Bulldogs building back, getting a goal from Frankie Hill. His 53rd of the season. BU tied up the score. Caleb Garrett coming up with the equalizer. And then James Liebler gave Birmingham a 3-2 lead with 5:35 left to go in the first half. But it was Rochester Adams and Deacon Morgan, his second of the game, that pulled the Highlanders even with the Bulldogs after a half of play. We are deadlocked at 3 apiece as you're getting a look here at some of the offensive fireworks for the Bulldogs. And there's the equalizer once again by Deacon Morgan. And just a fast and furious first half of play. Rochester Adams has to be thrilled. They are making all kinds of noise on that sideline. They know they are right in this game.
Yeah, they're fired up. I was down there outside of the on field level, and they're very enthusiastic. They know they've played well, and they are right in this thing.
Back to work offensively here. Skip shot. Oh, boy. Penn Roberts. His 7th of the season. 12 seconds into the second half of play, and maybe perhaps the Bulldogs have flipped the switch here.
Well, I think Birmingham found a little something in that second quarter. They played a better game, even though they allowed the equalizer to tie it up at 3 just before halftime. They've come out of the locker room with their hair on fire, it appears, and have gone up 4-3 now.
We speculated during that halftime break that Coach Stenson might have peeled the paint, so to speak, in the locker room. Couple different ways of approaching that halftime speech, right? Do you go in there and guns a-blazing, or is everything just calm, cool, and collect, and just basically the message, we got to just play better in the second half?
I think it can go either way, as you said, but I think in this type of situation, I think you're going in guns a-blazing. Like, you know you're up for a chance for that OA red title. You beat Clarkston a couple weeks ago. You've lost 2 of your last 3, albeit by two goals or less. And then you got a team coming in and punches you in the mouth first. And Mike Tyson had a famous quote, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the mouth. And
Yep.
you saw the Bulldogs get punched in the mouth early 2-0, and then they respond with 3 straight goals. And now you got that 4-3 lead. So now you're going to see probably the killer instinct that Stenson wanted at that break.
The MHSA seeding comes out tomorrow, too. So this is a big game in terms of seeding ramifications as well as the OAA Red Champions. Birmingham will be hosting a lot of the playoffs right here, including a regional. So an opportunity perhaps for this Bulldog team to have a bunch of home playoff games if they're able to take care of business here tonight.
Yeah, that would really go a long way to giving them some momentum, some feels good as far as giving them that extra little bump when these playoffs start.
Still have a home game with Bloomfield Hills Cranbrook, and then a road game with Heartland. We know that one should be one that they have circled on their calendars. Look at that feed. Oh, what a pretty pass. It doesn't get much more textbook than that, and that is Brody Feldmeyer.
Yeah, textbook and technical. This was just a draw of the defense and then finding the open man. You'll look at it right here. Just a beautiful wide open in the slot out in front. And that is the first 2-goal lead for Birmingham tonight. Now it's 5-3, and Brody Feldmeyer scores the 5th goal of this game.
23rd goal of the season for Feldmeyer. His brother's going to play next season at the University of Michigan, Brett Feldmeyer, 63 goals last season here at Birmingham. Was a member of the second-team All-State, and Brody, just a sophomore, trying to follow in big brother's footsteps, well on his way. University of Michigan, all of a sudden becoming pretty powerful lacrosse school. Making the NCAAs. Oh, what an answer back. That's Jace Morgan. He is a man on a mission here tonight. Those Morgans are good.
Yeah. Morgan's know how to find the back of the net, and they've cut into the lead. It's now 5-4, so they're
12 seconds.
Doing the best they can to not let Birmingham get too far out in front.
Win the faceoff and net the goal. 12 seconds. Talk about an answer. BU had their largest lead of the game, 2 goals, and the Highlanders answer right back. It's going to be another faceoff win here for Rochester Adams. Connor Doyle winning these draws, and just money right now in the faceoff circle. Losing control of that one, Drew Myers. Yeah, the law firm of Morgan.
Morgan and Morgan.
Really
I see their
paying
billboards
off
all over town, yeah.
tonight.
Well, guys, if there was 2 guarantees in this game, number 1 had to be Brody Feldmeyer scoring. Remember, they had the goal taken away after being in the crease, so he gets that one. And then Morgan going down now with 2 goals and an assist in this game. He is the real deal. I mean, he is fast down here.
Yeah, Jace Morgan and Deacon Morgan, both with 2 goals in the game. All the scoring tonight for Rochester Adams. Yeah, the lacrosse gods looking out for Brody Feldmeyer. A little bit of a make-do, right? Make good. So Brody Feldmeyer, the terrific sophomore, wearing 17 in white tonight for Birmingham. Skip shot attempt there by James Liebler. Turned aside. Nice job covering up that 5-hole. Colasoria putting the big goaltending stick down. It's amazing how much control they have with what is essentially a fishing net, right?
Yeah, it is.
You haul in like a big bass with that net.
It's a walleye.
Hey, really quick, guys, you mentioned number 17. You're talking about for Nick Stenson's club, number 17 on Rochester Adams. He's seen the trainer twice now over the last 10 minutes. He keeps bleeding from his left knee. She just did something again to him. So, Brandon Paff, it's something to keep an eye on.
A little turf rash.
Yeah, a little bit of a rug burn.
Look at that change of direction. A little spin move, a little dekorama, a little spinorama. And now the pass to the outside. Birmingham 5-4 advantage. 8:22 left to go, third quarter of play. Braden Montour. Go up top. Bubnikovic. Hear all the chatter coming out of the Rochester Adams side.
Yeah, their fans are a vocal bunch, too.
Turning down the screen that time. Deacon Morgan supplying Jack Coyle, turning down the screen. Caleb Garrett at that X position. Line drive pass caught cleanly by Liebler. Changes direction once again. A little bit of a stall tactic perhaps here by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, a little bit of dictating tempo. You know, hold on to the ball, and they've shown they can find the open man and find that opening. Maybe that's where they're at here now.
Penn Roberts steps on the field on the defensive side of things. We'll replace Andrew Johnson. Now Penn Roberts is going to join the fray. Twirls his lacrosse stick, begins to go to work. Grayson Heiser supplying the defense, man-to-man. Race for that loose ball, kept in the field of play momentarily, and then finally out. So good defensive stand there for the Highlanders. Their upcoming schedule includes road contests against Rochester as well as Orchard Lake St. Mary's. They'll wrap up their regular season schedule with back-to-back home games against Royal Oak and Livonia Stevenson. Crossfield pass, fake the shot, ball fake, stick fake, back of the net, goal.
Well, don't look now, but we have a tie game, fellas.
That's going to be Braden Montour, the sophomore.
We'll see it here. This is the first deep came and then low along the surface. Sort of a rising shot that started low. And with 6:42 to play, Rochester Adams has come back to tie this one up.
And guys, defensively, they were keying in on Jace Morgan, and rightfully so. We talked about the Morgan brothers with the 4 goals before that last one. They were trying to double team him. He finds that open man, and man, Montour slammed that door shut.
Yeah, taking advantage of numbers there. Double team one player allows somebody else in goal to become wide open. And right now, big time sizable advantage for Rochester Adams in the face-off circle. They've been able to take advantage of that here tonight, loading up on offensive possessions. Shot from the perimeter. Conrad Swanson hasn't had to make a lot of saves, but came up with a big one there. Outlets it. A little bit too strong of a pass. Scooped up, however, on the offensive side of things for BU. Feldmeyer once again. Feldmeyer does have a goal here in this third quarter. Goes to Bambro. Jack Coyle. Bigelman has some separation. Finally, the defense in the form of Jace Morgan comes down. Out of the stick of Bambro. I don't know if he knew he lost it.
But yeah, I don't think he did. He turned around and looked like he was ready to take a shot, but the ball was bouncing behind him.
So very short-lived offensive set there for BU. Adams with a couple fresh players, including Heiser. Grayson Heiser was calling for it off the bench. Couldn't find him. Jace Morgan again. Takes a bit of a spill. Swanson being harassed. Long stretch pass. Onto the stick of Bigelman. Numbers here for BU if they hurry. Cutting in front of the net, avoiding the crease, and potting the goal there, Caleb Garrett. BU's third goal already in this third quarter of play puts them back in front 6-5.
Yeah, Birmingham started to puff up the offensive numbers here. They seem to keep being able to maintain that lead, and this is beautifully done. Just sort of just like a how do you do plop into the net to go back up by 1. Now 4:43 to play in the third quarter, and this is a tennis match. It's going back and forth.
And that was defense leading to offense. You had the stretch pass, you had the outlet pass, and then some tic-tac-toe passing around the goal mouth. And absolutely nothing Kulisoria could do as the last line of defense for Rochester Adams.
And Brad, really quick, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. A lot of offensive possessions in this game for Rochester Adams. You think about all the penalties they've had, the odd man rushes, they've not been able to capitalize on any of them, but now twice on the other side, Dick Stenson's crew and the Bulldogs have come back and scored.
Yeah, it's kind of been missed opportunities, so to speak, for Rochester Adams in this game, and maybe a game they'll look back on and kind of realize at times they've shot themselves in the foot, missed opportunities on the man advantage. Obviously a sizable advantage in the face-off circle, as that was an absolute rocket. We got a player pulling up there for BU. Feldmeyer appears to be okay. Liebler looks back. Offense gets set up. We'll stay here once again with BU. Penn Roberts, 6 goals, 10 assists on the season. Senior midi. And Adams' bench just continues to bark. Block shot out in front. Talk about sacrificing the body. Double deuces. Grant Lordenson stepping in front of that shot. Folks, that lacrosse ball, I don't know if folks at home realize how hard of a rubber ball that is. It is a solid core. It hurts.
Yeah, Ryan and I were walking around down on the field before the game, and a couple of the coaches reminded us to keep our head on a swivel while they were practicing and warming up. It's you don't want to get hit with that thing in the side of the head when you're not looking. You know, the original lacrosse ball used to be made out of wood. Imagine taking that in the thigh.
Instant bruise. Good screen. Oh, man. That pick just opened things up offensively. Liebler supplied the screen. Frankie Hill supplies the goal. And BU once again flexing their muscles. 2-goal lead once again. Here's the replay. Look at that screen. That's
Beautiful.
how you get your teammate open.
Yeah, he picks him off, and that allows free reign for number 6, Hill, to add to his rather gaudy offensive numbers this year.
This has truly been a game of runs.
Yep.
It almost has a feel of a NBA game, right? Adams jumps out to the 2-0 lead. BU comes back with 3 of their own. Adams scores right before the halftime break. BU comes out, fires 2 goals past goalkeeper Sam Kulisoria. Then Adams answers right back with 2 of their own, and now the latest 2 goals belonging to the Bulldogs. So goals have been scored in bunches. Right now, the latest bunch belonging to the Bulldogs. They lead at 7-5, under 3 minutes to go. Third quarter of play. So glad you decided to tune in to our BACB Sports coverage. Brad Fetters, Andy Aubrey, Ryan Woolley patrolling the sidelines. Newest member of our BACB Sports crew. Andy, we threw him right into the fire.
Yep.
We got him right on the mic.
He's on the mic, and he's on the field.
Well, I'm honored to be here with you guys. You guys do a fantastic job, and it's been a great game.
The voice of Eastern Michigan University football and ladies volleyball. I was talking to Aaron Frank, athletic director here at Birmingham Seaholm. Boys volleyball team off to a good start. We'll have it as a full-fledged sport, we believe, next year. And, oh, by the way, in the fall, we are going to have girls field hockey for the first time It will be once again a fall sport, and it's going to be a united team. Groves and Seaholm going to come together to field a field hockey squad.
That should be fun. Looking forward to that.
Look at that individual effort. It don't get much better than that, does it? Brody Feldmeyer.
That was just possession, possession, possession. Look for the open man, and then that sidewinder. And now we have our first 3-goal lead of this game. We're going to see it again. This was a thing of beauty. We're not going to have it? Okay, we're not going to show that.
Let's see. We do have a BACB Sports replay of it.
There it is. And Birmingham opens up a 3-goal lead, which in this game, the way it's been played, seems almost gaudy.
It's 3 goals in less than 3 minutes. So instant offense here for the Bulldogs. And now once again, we're going to get a late delayed penalty call here. Jace Morgan drawing contact. So maybe that's what the Highlanders need in order to get back in this game. They're going to have a man advantage here, we think, at some point, unless they score. Knocked off the stick there of Montour. Jace Morgan, the most dangerous man on the field right now for Rochester Adams. Goes over to Heiser. Heiser delays. Heiser begins to explore. Goes up top. That's Jace Morgan knocked down. And BU will scoop up, and now the penalty will be called. So the Bulldogs will go a man down.
And this might be just what the doctor ordered for Rochester Adams. They're going to need to not let Birmingham get too far out in the distance here, and they're going to see if they can, we believe, take advantage of a man advantage. It's going to be Penn Roberts coming off.
He's got his hands up at his side. He is not quite sure what he did.
Oh, there's 2 penalties, guys.
Wow, we're going to get 2 penalties called here against Birmingham.
But this goes back to what we were talking about. They've not been able to capitalize on the man advantage. Like, this is a big opportunity here for Rochester.
6 on 4. 2 30-second penalties called against Penn Roberts and Alec Rothweil. So 6 on 4, 2-man advantage. A minute remaining on the third quarter clock. Jace Morgan. Morgan gets it right back, sets up shot, skips it home. Wow. That's how you set up a power play.
Yeah, that was quick. And they pull it within 2. Rochester Hills, there's still a pulse there.
So just 8 seconds into the man advantage. It's Jace Morgan once again.
Yeah, this took no time at all for Rochester Adams to take advantage of their 2-man advantage. And it's a bouncing shot. It finds back of the net, and we are back to live action.
So players separated from their sticks. Highlanders were looking for a call. They're not going to get it. And now once again it's the Bulldogs. Up by 2. 30 seconds remaining in the third quarter of play. Pass comes to the X. Over to Caleb Garrett. See if the Bulldogs will just hold for one final shot here in this third quarter. Around the perimeter. They cycle it back. Goes over to the far side. Twisting, turning. Whoa. Ho, ho, ho. Brody Feldmeyer. Third goal of this quarter for Feldmeyer. The hat trick.
And if we had a BACB Sports Player of the Quarter, it would be Brady Feldmeyer. And look at this shot. His time is about to expire. 4 seconds left in the quarter. He just rifles it past for resuming of the 3-goal lead. Now 9-6 for Birmingham.
So we mentioned Feldmeyer is one of those 1-2 punches between he and Frankie Hill was held off the score sheet, but showed up in a big way here in the second half. 3 third-quarter goals has opened up the Birmingham lead, 9-6. 6 Bulldog goals in the quarter. Tighten up those chin straps, folks. Settle in. We should be in store for one heck of a fourth quarter. 9-6 our score. We'll take another quick break here on BACB Sports. When we come back, we'll have the fourth quarter of play.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
12 minutes up on the big board. Fourth quarter of play. Rochester Adams has come in and has given our Birmingham United Bulldogs quite a game here this evening. Birmingham, a huge third quarter of play, has opened up a 3-goal lead. They lead at 9-6. Opening face-off to start the fourth quarter of play. This time it's going to be Beckett Bambro to take it. And he loses it to Rochester Adams at race for the loose ball. It's going to be a turnover there for the Highlanders. This Rochester Adams team, 11-6 a season ago, beat Shrine in the playoffs before losing to Notre Dame Prep. These are program-type opportunities for this Adams team. Ryan Woolley has mentioned throughout tonight's broadcast that it's an Adams program now that is willing to schedule some of the big boys.
Big save there.
Oakland Activities Association. Yeah, some pretty good teams. I'm going to get a delayed penalty call coming up here against the Bulldogs. At intercept will get the whistle. Rochester Adams, founded back in 1969. Some famous alums include David Shaw, the Stanford football head coach that took over for Harbaugh. He's now the passing game coordinator for the Lions. His father actually worked for the Detroit Lions, and that's why he went to Rochester Adams. Jacob Truba, the former Michigan Wolverine hockey player, New York Rangers captain. Peter Vanderkay, a 4-time Olympic medalist, is a member of the U.S. swim team. And Andy Aubrey. Madonna was a Highlander.
That's right.
She graduated from Rochester Adams. She was apparently she was a straight A student at Rochester Adams as well as a cheerleader there.
Well, she got into Michigan.
She did.
She must have had some pretty good grades. But I don't think education was her thing.
No.
No, she found another calling.
Yeah. She didn't need to use that education in her true calling, huh?
She was an early influencer.
Before there was social media
as
influencers?
As something about singing.
Just a little bit.
I think she educated a lot of young men about stuff.
Back in the day, for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Long stretch pass in and off the stick. Regathered there by Nardone.
You know, really quick, guys, I do expect to see the Bulldogs find the back of the net again, but you look at Rochester Adams, in 5 of their 6 losses, they've given up double-digit goals. Lowest output was last week against Graham Blake, which is 8. They've already given up 9 in this game, so if they have a chance to win, they've got to keep the Bulldogs off the scoreboard now.
That's a great point. Talked about this Birmingham team coming into play, averaging 10.5 goals per game, right at that mark right now. Their lowest offensive output of the season was just 4 goals, but that's all they needed in a 4-2 win over Oxford. That one must have been played in some mud or something.
I was going to say, I can't imagine a 4-2 game. It seems like every time we call
a torrential downpour or something.
Yeah, right? It was like the Kentucky Derby last week. Lots of mud, maybe.
Ryan talked about those losses where Adams has given up double-digit goals. When you examine Birmingham United's losses on the season, as there we go, Frankie Hill continues to rack up the numbers.
Frankie Hill, assist number 21.
Gonna give Penn Roberts the assist there. It's now 10-6, but 3 of the 4 losses this season for Birmingham have been by a combined 4 goals. So 3 losses by a combined 4 goals. They had a 1-goal loss in their most recent game against Forest Hills Eastern, and a 2-goal loss to South Lyon East. Had a 8-7 double overtime loss to Grand Rapids Forest Hills Central. The only outlier was the Detroit Country Day, the 19-9 loss. But we really don't want to talk about that one.
No, don't bring that up.
Country Day, 12-3 record. Country Day, obviously another top 10 team in the state of Michigan.
Always a dominant force in many sports. I'm going back to that Frankie Hill goal. He's got that style. He's got that flair where he sort of leaves his feet. He went up into the air as he shot it, kind of moving to the side, and tough to defend, obviously. Just a sort of a taste of his style and how he's put so many in the back of the net this year. Has been an epic season for him.
So Hill and Feldmeyer have combined for 6 of the 10 goals. If my math is correct, that's 60%, which is actually above their season average. We talked about it at the top of the broadcast. They have accounted for 54% of the Birmingham goals this year. Well, it's 60% here tonight. Got a 2-man race for BACB Sports Player of the Game between those two. Maybe slight advantage to Feldmeyer just because of the terrific third quarter play he had. He kind of put the team on his back in that third quarter play and has opened up this now, what is a sizable lead for the Bulldogs, 10-6.
Yeah, it's not exactly insurmountable, but it feels that way, the way this game has been played. And we've had 1-goal, 2-goal advantages disappear. But Birmingham sort of flexing their muscle now here. As this game goes on, you'll see, feels as though Rochester might be sliding down the cliff ever so slightly here. Maybe some tired legs. We got a couple guys sitting on the sidelines, bent over, hands on hips, things like that. So it's coming upon Birmingham to close this one out now.
There's a quick cover up by Swanson, the goalkeeper, tried to outlet it. Rowan Luger, one of the long stick midi. Adams trying to beat everybody down, and that's kind of a duck and cover there. Sean McGlynn, the senior defender, saw his man wind up. He ducked. Otherwise, he was going to take that right to the cage.
That was Montour again. He's already got a goal in this game. That was a good look. He just sent it wide.
Another sort of missed opportunity for this Highlanders team.
Yeah, they have just missed the goal on a number of those. As a great example of that last shot. Just missed the mark by a few inches even.
Whiff on that pass. Taking advantage of it, Will Angel with the steal. Quickly up ahead. Taking a bit of a bump, remaining on his feet. McCardle. McCardle thought about setting a screen. Instead, he'll go to the goal mouth. A little bit of a switch offensively. Right now, Birmingham can just play the delay game. They should be in really no sense of urgency or hurry. Bigelman catches clean off the bench. Comes over to the near side for Feldmeyer once again. Cross-field pass connected. Just got to make sure your passes are crisp right now. And, oh, man, a missile from the outside. Jake Coyle opens up the 5-goal lead now for the Bulldogs. This one slipping away from the Highlanders.
Yeah, things are really widening now as far as Birmingham goes. They're hitting the shots that Rochester Adams has missed as far as just slinging it. And, I mean, he winds up and gives it everything he's got. A thing of beauty, really. 11-6 now, and they can widen this lead even further the way they're playing. It's been mostly all Birmingham here in the fourth.
Talk about grabbing momentum. The Bulldogs have scored 6 of our last 7 goals. So 6-1 advantage from the late third quarter on is really giving them a 5-goal lead. Uphill climb now for Rochester Adams.
And you see Birmingham on defense. They're just pushing Rochester back, pushing them back, pushing them back. They just haven't not had very many good looks in the fourth here.
Groan comes up from the crowd. Jace Morgan from the outside. It's turned into an absolutely beautiful night here in Birmingham.
It sure has. Boy, it was raining hard an hour before the game, as you mentioned earlier, Brad. We were all huddled under the bleachers, just looking up at the sky and wondering if it would stop, and it has. It's pleasant out there now.
Certainly didn't seem like it was ever going to stop raining over the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
That front that moved in through Sunday just took its time. Point blank save. Whoa! Beauty there. Colasorio, a little bit of a jump there to go up and get that one.
He's actually played a good game. If you think about it, all the opportunities that Birmingham has had, this is another good example of him just kind of smothering it. He puts that big net on top of the ball, and it's going back the other way now.
You say no man is an island, but man, oh man, a lacrosse goalie's got to feel like he's on an island sometime. Look at these point-blank opportunities.
And that last exchange, kind of emblematic of Rochester's offensive game in the second half. They've had the opportunities, they just have not been able to cash in. They've just sent it wide on many, many shots.
Well, guys, one of the assistant coaches down here just kind of gave an earful to the ref, said, is that not a push? You can't push him back there. And the referee just shrugged his shoulders.
Letting him play on. And that might be a non-call just due to the fact that we are under 5 minutes remaining here in this fourth quarter. And now we got a Rochester Adams player blew a tire. That's some congratulatory, that's some good sportsmanship. We're going to get a holding call here against Birmingham.
All right, now the question is, was it really holding, or is that one of those phantom makeup calls after the
It might have been.
no-call push?
Yeah, that might have.
Well, coach is always working those officials on the sideline. You win some, you lose some, and apparently that was the case here. So we're going to give Mark Nardone the penalty. So I got to think maybe Brody Feldmeyer, just due to the fact he had that terrific third quarter, number 17, Brody Feldmeyer, that kind of gave BU this lift. I kind of got to give him the slight advantage in BACB Sports Player of the Game voting, right?
That's leaning that way, I think.
I think you're dead on. I mean, again, he should have 4 in this game. He had the one that was taken away, and who knows? You got 4.5 to go. Maybe grabs another one.
Plenty of time to add on. Oh, nice save. Maybe the best save of the game for Conrad Swanson.
And Nardone is going to, penalty will expire for him. Young man headed to Indiana University next fall.
It's going to be a Hoosier,
He's going to be a Hoosier, going to the business school. If he's half the entrepreneur that his father is, he's going to be very successful in his career, whatever he chooses.
Cardle out. Picks up that low pass. Cradles it. Spot a teammate coming onto the field now in Liebler. Changes here for the Bulldogs. Going to empty their bench pretty much. Let's see just a big, massive game of keep away here. You mentioned, you said it was a wooden ball back in the day?
Well, there were 2 different constructions of lacrosse balls initially. One was wood. The other was a hair-stuffed deerskin. Which I would prefer getting hit by, frankly, versus the wood ball or even this current iteration, which is made out of a hard rubber.
That must go back as we get a flag here, some extracurriculars. That must go back to when the Native Americans originated the game of lacrosse.
Let's take a look at this last collision here. Bodies were a-flying, and let's take a look. Ooh, yeah, that's set up and charging.
30-second minor penalty for pushing. Ron had a good view of that penalty. Ron working the sidelines in his golf cart. Across the official sport of Canada.
Yeah, we also had a Bill Watson sighting today.
Yes,
Bill
he is
came back.
athletic trainer Bill Watson working the sidelines. He has a terrific follow on Twitter as BU adds on to their scoring.
His first of his career, number 23, Nick Holcomb.
Nick Holcomb, first goal of his career. Not even on my roster,
How
Andy
about
Aubrey.
that? Yes. A game of firsts, and now Birmingham has doubled up on Rochester Adams. We'll see this last goal. This is a bookmark moment for him. The young man puts his first ever goal in, and it happens to be the 12th one of Birmingham's evening, and they are stretching their lead out finally. The cream always rises to the top, as they say, and let's give Rochester Adams a lot of credit, though. They came in here and they put the fear into Birmingham. It was no sure thing for a half and almost 3 quarters, but Birmingham has definitely turned up the heat here as this game has progressed.
And hey, guys, really quick, cool moment down here. One of the assistant coaches quickly yelled ball, so they're going to grab that ball and give it to Holcomb.
Put that one up on the mantle as Feldmeyer has added his 4th, and that might seal the deal for the sophomore. It's going to be his 4th goal now of the game, and it's going to give him 26 now on the season. Not quite to brother Brett's 63 goals a season ago, but he's approaching that.
Yeah, we'll see this last goal. This is nice, and Adams just kind of holding on for dear life here now. His time is expiring, just over 2 minutes to play, and Birmingham really kind of stretching it out at this point.
So your very first varsity goal, and you get to keep the ball. Skip shot's good. It kind of handcuffed Conrad Swanson. That's Jace Morgan again. And Morgan has been just absolutely terrific in a losing effort here for Rochester Adams.
Yeah, he felt that one. He went down to his knees after he shot the ball, and he's tired. He's been all over the pitch tonight, and you'd see it here. He looks like he tripped over the stick of Andrew Johnson, is it? That's who it was. So Rochester Adams put their 7th up.
Birmingham about to win their 9th game of the season. It's a team that went 11-7 a season ago. Beat Castech in the first round of the playoffs 25-0. Beat Livonia Stevenson 15-7 before losing to Brother Rice in the 3rd round of the playoffs. And that was really a senior-laden squad that kind of really solidified this Birmingham squad as a power within the state of Michigan. It's a terrific youth organization as well. Birmingham lacrosse, elementary kids coming through this program, and it's not a given anymore that the best lacrosse players go to Brother Rice. They do stay here and go to the Birmingham schools, Seaholm and Groves. As Montour, and that's the latest Adams goal.
Yeah, another goal for Adams. They're not going away quietly. I did see a number of Derby students up Derby Middle School here just sort of playing some catch with the lacrosse ball off to the side. Maybe older brothers here in this game, but the pipeline is full of future lacrosse players. Well, that's good to see.
I think that's a testament as well to what Nick Stenson has brought as a man in charge. He's kind of stabilized and given this Birmingham team quite the lift. Adam Cadro is offensive coordinator. Paul Moosey is defensive coordinator. Bulldog squad that's going to be good for a very long time. Under a minute now left to go. Adams continuing to pour it on late here in this fourth quarter.
Look out for these Highlanders.
Montour again.
Watch out now. Be the unbelievable comeback of the century. 42 seconds can't go fast enough for Stenson's squad. This is a little uncomfortable time for Birmingham.
A little bit of nail-biting time, I think, on that Bulldog sideline.
Yeah, what was once a 7-goal lead is now shaved to 4.
3 very quick ones for Rochester Adams. Big upcoming face-off here. And it's Adams that wins it cleanly once again. And they just got to start shooting a little bit quicker here. You can't afford to waste a lot of time.
Oh, they can't afford to waste any time, especially that. That's going to probably seal it, the ball going out.
Yeah, Montour unable to catch that ball cleanly. Montour, the latest 2 goals here for Rochester Adams in their comeback effort. Step up and an intercept. An intercept by one of the long sticks. 15 seconds remaining. Highlanders tried to bounce one in front. And vacating the goal crease, Swanson. And now he has gone in full turtle mode as he'll retreat and watch the final 2 seconds click off the clock. And BU will spill out your OAA Red champions. Congratulations to the Bulldogs on picking up that season-long accomplishment as they spill out onto the field, and congratulate their goaltender, Conrad Swanson. A job well done here tonight, and a job well done in winning a league title.
Yeah, let's give it up for Birmingham. There they are. They're looking up at the board, saluting themselves, as they should, as OAA Red champs, and it's an outstanding season. And Rochester Adams came in here. They gave him a little scare early and late, but Bulldogs reigned supreme tonight.
We'll take a final break here on BACB Sports. Allow us to collect our thoughts, but when we come back, it'll be our post-game coverage, including Ryan Woolley's Player of the Game interview.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
And there's a look at your 2025 OAA Red Lacrosse champions, the Birmingham United Bulldogs, finishing touches on that league championship here tonight, Andy, with a really impressive 13-9 victory over the Rochester Adams Highlanders.
Yeah, it's got to be gratifying to do it here at home. They had a nice crowd on hand to witness them win this red title. The guys are all jacked up, as you can see. A lot of smiles and a hard-fought victory. It didn't come easy. Rochester Adams waltzed in here, and they were on a mission. And they knew they were a little bit outmanned, but you wouldn't have noticed it in the first half. Very close. I mean, tight nip and tuck affair. And, boy, Seaholm came out of the locker room just on fire, and they had a big third quarter, maintained the lead, and ended up pulling out the victory.
Let's quickly go down to field level. Ryan Woolley is now alongside our BACB Sports Player of the Game. 4 goals on the night. Sophomore attacker, Brody Feldmeyer.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, down here at field level with our player of the game, Brody Feldmeyer. Brody, first off, congratulations. All your buddies back here cheering you on. Champion. What does it feel like?
Feels great. We haven't done it in a while. I mean, our team has been like trying to get to this moment, and now we want to go win a regional final.
And you guys put yourself in this position because of that victory against Clarkson just a couple of weeks ago. This game, though, wasn't easy at first. You guys fell down 2-0. It was tied at 3 in the locker room. What was Nick Stenson's message to you guys there in the locker room?
Play lacrosse, get ground balls, work with each other, run our offense, and that's what clicked in the second half.
All right, let's talk about your game individually, because you actually had a goal taken away early in this game. We thought it was good. They said there was a push in the crease. It was called back. You still finished with 4 goals. How does that make you feel?
Good. I mean, I thought I was a goal at first, so I told the refs, all right, I'm going to go score 4 goals, and I did. So.
Look behind you, got all your teammates cheering you on. I mean, this is what it's about, brotherhood. So before I get you out of here, I want to ask you, Nick Holcomb, he scored today. How special is that to get your first goal on varsity?
Awesome. Congratulations, Nick. You got more to come.
All right, congratulations, man. Enjoy it. Best of luck the rest of the way, guys. All right, once again, it's Brody Feldmeyer joining us here. He is our player of the game. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Brad and Andy will wrap it up in the broadcast booth.
Well, Andy, Brody Feldmeyer is a man of his word. When he says something, he absolutely delivers. He tells the referee he's going to go out and score 4 goals. He does just that, has 25 now on the season. Also need to mention Frankie Hill, who nets 3 here tonight, gives him 55 now on the season. So between those two players, 80 goals on the season.
Incredible offensive explosion by these two guys, and they were in the 50s as percentage of their offensive production coming into this game. They exceeded that into the 60s with the number of goals they were able to put in tonight. But just an all-around outstanding effort for Birmingham. Their defense came up when they had to. They let in some goals late, so Coach Stenson will have something to harp on about when they come back to practice. They're actually going to be playing another game tomorrow night. But just a reminder that you can never let your guard down, and no matter what your lead looks like in the game of lacrosse, no lead is safe. But let's take our hats off to Birmingham. They are the OAA Red champions this year. They did it at home. It's got to feel good, and just an outstanding effort.
We speculated at halftime what was going to be the message. Well, it was simply go out and play lacrosse. 13-9 victory here tonight for Birmingham. They improved their overall record to 9-4. Rochester Adams falls to 5-7. Now we turn our attention to the MHSAA seeding. We know this Birmingham team is a top 10 team in the state of Michigan. They are OAA Red champions. I would imagine they will draw a very good seed, and they will host many home playoff games this season. We wish them nothing but good luck and success in the postseason. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our hardworking BACB Sports crew, including our director tonight, Mike Kopmeyer, for our sideline reporter, Ryan Woolley, and his maiden voyage, for my broadcast partner, Andy Aubrey. I'm Brad Fetter saying goodnight one final time from Birmingham Seaholm High School. Once again, your final score in boys varsity lacrosse, Birmingham United Bulldogs 13, the Rochester Adams Highlanders 9. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time right here on BACB Sports.